Hi, this is Matt Bernstein with Skillhance.com, and in this lecture, we're going to be learning about identifying your audience within Reddit. The first thing you need to decide when starting out on Reddit is who your audience and which subreddits will be the best for reaching that audience. So right from the start, this means you need to look at your own audience, and if you don't have a clear idea of who it is you're targeting, then you won't know where to start. A good exercise for finding your target audience is to profile your typical customer or viewer. This means sitting down with a piece of paper and writing as much as you can down about that person. Ask yourself, how old is the average customer? How much do they earn? What is their marital status? What's their gender? What's their sexual orientation? What are their interests? What do they do on the weekends? Where do they live? Do they have any family? Of course, very few of your customers are actually going to be accurately fulfill this description, but instead you're just looking at the average. Some of this data actually won't be guesswork, as you'll actually be able to look at your own sales data or conduct surveys to find out. Once you've profiled the average audience member, you should then give them a name. So let's call him Jeff right now. Whenever you make the post, whenever you look at the subreddits to post to, you can ask yourself, would this reach Jeff? What kind of subreddits would be someone like Jeff be subscribed to? How to find subreddits. The point to bear in mind is that Jeff is not going to be subscribed to a single subreddit. In fact, he's going to probably have signed up for multiple. And some Jeffs will be subscribed to subreddits that others aren't. And if you have a product aimed at men with beards, you are only posting in beards, then you'll be missing out big time. A post about beard maintenance could also be very popular in art of manliness or hipster for that matter. So how do you find subreddits that might have your Jeff in them? Ever self-referential, and as we'll see repeatedly throughout this lecture, Reddit actually has subreddits for finding subreddits. It wouldn't be surprising if there was a subreddit for finding subreddits that lists subreddits. So reddit.com/reddits provides a list of popular new subreddits to check out, for instance. Meanwhile, /new Reddits is a place for Redditors to promote their newly created subs and also present new opportunities for you. One other place to check out is a metareddit.com, which provides a random selection of subreddits, making it very easy to find new ones. You can literally just keep refreshing the page, and that way you'll be able to find subreddits that you might never have otherwise have even thought to look at. But be warned, the rabbit hole only goes deeper. A good exercise that you can do right now is to spend some time looking through these subreddits and create a spreadsheet or a written note listing each one along some notes of the kind of content that gets shared there. This way, you can come back and refer to that list every single time you want to make a new post, and will help you find potential places for your content to be successful. Is this subreddit right for you? But how do you know whether or not a subreddit is potentially suitable for your content? How do you know if it's going to be filled with receptive Jeffs? Of course, the fundamental thing to ensure is that your audience is going to be interested in whatever you're posting. The most obvious interested subreddits will be those with names that directly reflect the niche subject that you're posting about. If you're posting about beards, then beards is a pretty safe bet. If you're posting about hair, then you may be okay. And at the same time, you need to think about the receptivity of your audience. When targeting any audience with content, it's always important to ensure that they're not only interested in your subject, but also that they're ready to act on what you're showing them and ready to make a post. Are they in the position to buy your product? If you're trying to make direct sales, then this is important. Partly, this question is going to depend on the goals of your post. If you're just trying to build an audience, then it doesn't matter too much. If you're, on the other hand, trying to make sales, then you need to find a subreddit that is filled with people with disposable income and who might be currently interested in making a purchase. Some Reddits are predominantly filled with images, which suggests that their users are probably not going to have time to read lengthy amount of content or necessarily want to visit your website to make a purchase. Ask yourself not just who is viewing a subreddit, but then when and why are they viewing it. And ask yourself whether this is susceptible to your message at that point. A useful tip for researching the popularity of a subreddit, meanwhile, is to look at its traffic. Many subreddits allow you to relatively easily view stats such as monthly page views, unique visits, and etc. This way you can see not only which sites are doing well, but also currently on an upturn or a downturn. To see these stats, visit the subreddit and go about traffic. Of course, the number of subscribers in a subreddit is actually an indicator of its popularity for those without detailed statistics. The big fish. If you're really keen on targeting the very biggest audience possible on Reddit, then you're going to want to post to these core subreddits, which are the ones who are automatically subscribed to when you sign up and the ones which will see the front page if you don't have a user account. Of course, it's harder to succeed in these subreddits, but if you do, then the rewards will be huge. Big subreddits versus smaller ones. But before you go on a crusade to find the biggest subreddits with the most views, bear in mind that the bigger ones aren't usually better. Finding very popular subreddits is of course a great way to potentially reach a huge audience, but it also means that you potentially risk being lost in a sea of content. This is a dilemma that every internet marketer has been faced with by some point during their promotional strategies, and the question you have to ask yourself is whether it's better to be a big fish in a small pond or vice versa. One big advantage to a bigger subreddit is that it gives you more exposure right from the start. This in turn means that you can generate more upvotes more quickly, which is crucial, seeing as an initial surge of upvotes is necessary to gain some initial exposure and momentum. This means you'll be more likely to be propelled into the front page, which is where you can be seen by hundreds of thousands of daily visitors. This is much harder to do if you start out in a small subreddit. On the other hand, being in a smaller subreddit means that you'll be much less likely to see your content immediately get drowned by other people's new posts and then pushed to the bottom. Even if you don't get many upvotes for a few hours, you can remain on the hot page of that subreddit or the new page simply because there won't be much more content. This can actually be quite a distinctive advantage on the subreddits that are visited regularly but aren't posted to all that often. If you look at the number of posts versus the number of subscribers, or the subscribers versus the views, you can find relatively static subreddits that nevertheless get a lot of exposure. Another advantage of using this approach is that Reddit pages actually tend to perform quite well on Google, so this could be good for your SEO. That said, a static page with a few subscribers is not going to get you the same large number of immediate views upon posting. The best strategy then is to try and post a good range to different subreddits, including some that are smaller and some that are bigger, and this should depend on some of the extent of the specific goal of that particular post. At the same time, you need to understand the general psychology of Reddit, and you need to thoroughly research your specific audiences. In the next lecture, we're going to look at how to do these things in a little bit more detail.